5, that is what is describe the non-essential of an effective compliance program. So in this lecture we discussed with 8 questions. This question number 5 will be discussed. So what are the essential for an effective compliance program? So first we need that a high level compliance company personnel with knowledgeable and also specific individuals that shall have overall responsibility of day-to-day operations of the compliance program. A compliance officer shall be designed by organization's governing body, who shall periodically report to the higher level management governing body, and the compliance officer should be given adequate resource with appropriate authority and direct access to the governing body. So here we know that the high level company personnel is required for effective oversight. Now written policy be required and procedure also. That is, the employees of the organization should be appraised about the legal requirements so that the employees understand their obligations, and the employee should be encouraged to report suspected fraud and other irregularities without fear. Training and education, that is, the employee of the organization should be provided reasonable training to understand the organization's compliance program and its policies and processes. Then we need lines of communication. In lines of communication, we need that the information about the compliance program must be widely communicated at all level of an organization. Means that it has to be communicated at all level. Means operational level, high level, management level, all the levels of the organization. That information about the compliance program has to be widely communicated. Why? It is communicated to enhance the effectiveness of compliance program, and the compliance program must establish lines of communication whereby employees and agents may seek guidance and report concerns, including the opportunity to report anonymously, such as a compliance hotline. There are assurance that there will be no retaliation for good faith reporting. Now standards enforced through well publicized disciplinary guidelines. The organization's compliance and ethics program should be promoted and enforced consistently through well publicized guidelines that provide incentives to support the compliance and ethics program. Disciplinary measures for disobeying the law, the organization's policy, or the requirement of the compliance and ethics program. Internal compliance monitoring. The organization shall take reasonable steps. Means we need standard enforced. Then the internal compliance monitoring, it is very essential for the effective compliance program. We need internal compliance monitoring. So the organization shall take reasonable steps including monitoring and auditing. Reasonable steps including monitoring and auditing to ensure that the organization compliance and ethics program is followed. Periodically evaluate the effectiveness of the organization's compliance program. Also, we need response to detect offenses and corrective actions plan. After monitoring and auditing of the compliance program, the organization shall take reasonable steps. What all are the steps that we need to consider to respond appropriately to any violation of laws or policies to prevent future misconduct, modify and improve the organization compliance and ethics programs. So now we are moving to another question, that is question number 5b, that is, internal control can help an entity in achieving its objective, but it is not a panacea. It is also an important topic, that how internal control can help. So this is the answer of this question. However, we can write our own language that how internal control can help. We know this thing already, so we can write our own language in this question. But I'm reading this, that in a business entity, the internal control should be the key and sensitive areas to the organization, and no person should be allowed to complete one set of transactions. Now the control mechanism once established once established should be reviewed periodically in order to assess the lacunas and to remove the same. The password sharing should be strictly prohibited and stringent action should be taken against the erring staff. The efficacy of internal control mechanism depends when the employees accept this philosophy in true letter and spirit, not just in any case, but the efficacy of internal control mechanism, it only depends when the employees accept this philosophy. So a good efficient internal control system can assist the following ways: help an entity achieve its performance, profitability target and prevent losses of resources, help ensure reliable financial reporting, help ensure that enterprise complies with laws and regulations, avoiding damage to its reputation and consequences. In sum, it can help an entity get to where it wants to go. So what are the benefits of this? That ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अचीवमेंट प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी टारगेट्स को अचीव करने में हेल्प करता है, लॉस को प्रिवेंट करने में हेल्प करता है, रिलायबल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग को इंश्योर करता है. इट ऑल्सो इंश्योर दैट द एंटरप्राइज कंप्लाइंस विद लॉज regulations, avoiding damage and disrupt reputation. In some, it can also help an entity. Get to where it wants to go and avoid pitfalls and surprise along the way. Basically, उसके objectivity में ही they wants to say in good English that employees जहाँ जाना चाहता है उसके pitfall को avoid करता है and also surprises along the way. So why internal control is such an inherently useful and help organization in many ways, yet it is not a panacea. It has its limitations, such as what all are the limitations? We know that सब चीज़ें अगर employees के अंदर में है तो employees can also modify that, मतलब loopholes they know already, so they can modify the things according to their choices, according to their benefits. So internal control cannot change the inherently poor management into a good one. We have already read this thing. जो inherent poor manager है उसको एक अच्छे manager में ही convert नहीं कर सकता. Also internal control cannot ensure success. सक्सेस की एश्योरिटी नहीं है कि भाई हाँ सारी चीज़ें तुम करोगे तो तुम्हें सक्सेस ही मिलेगी. इवन सर्वाइवल इन केस ऑफ शिफ्ट्स in government policies, competitors, actions, economic conditions, since they are beyond management control. So beyond management control, so we know that कि भाई मैनेजमेंट के कंट्रोल से ही बाहर है, गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज़ एंड एवरीथिंग. सो इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम, नो मैटर हाउ वेल कंसीव्ड, कितने भी भले ही अच्छे तरीके से क्यों ना हो and operated हो, can provide only reasonable, not absolute assurance. Means there can be a question here that internal control system is only provide reasonable, not absolute assurance. So we need to write the same answer in this question, likewise this question, that it provides reasonable assurance, not the absolute assurance to the management and the board regarding achievement of an identity's objectives. Okay, the likelihood of achievement is affected by limitations. What all are the limitations inherent in all internal control systems? So basically likelihood की limitations क्या क्या है उसकी जो mostly होती है. The controls can be circumvented by the collusion of two or more people, and management has the ability to override the system. Means management internal control system के उसमें नहीं आता, and management has the ability to override such system. Another limiting factor is that the design of an internal control system must be reflect the fact that our resources constrain, and the benefit of controls must be considered relative to their cost. We know that ये एक रीजनेबल अश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड करता है, एब्सोल्यूट अश्योरेंस प्रोवाइड नहीं करता. ऑल्सो मैनेजमेंट के कंट्रोल से बियॉन्ड हो जाता है. अगर गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज़ में चेंज हो रहा है, कुछ भी चीज़ें चेंज हो रही हैं, हर इंटरनल कंट्रोल की कुछ पिट्स एंड फॉल्स होते हैं, कुछ लिमिटेशंस होती हैं. ओके. And also controls can be circumvented by the collusion of two or more people, and management has a ability to override the internal control system. So these are some limitations if we talk about internal control. Panacea we have discussed, and it is also beneficial we have discussed. Now the question is, what do you mean by corporate sustainability reporting, and what all are the benefits and key driver of sustainability reporting? So here is the answer, that the corporate sustainability reporting is basically a process for publicly disclosing an organization's economic, environment and social performance. Basically corporate social responsibility, when it comes here, so we need to move around three things, that is economic, environmental and social performance. Through sustainability reporting, organizations report on progress against performance goals, not only for economic achievement but for environmental protection and social well-being. A sustainability report is an organization's report that gives information about economic, environmental, social and governance performance. Sustainability reporting aims to communicate organization's sustainable priorities. Says policies, priorities क्या है organization की, sustainability priorities, programs and performance to its investors. Also, it comprises of how a company proactively and beyond regulations acts responsibly towards our environment around it, and works toward equitable and fair business practice, and bring to life products and services with lower impacts on the natural environment. Such a report describes how a company has implemented a greener supply chain and has engaged with local communities, is helping tackle climate change issues, or is innovating the poor. So what all are the benefits of corporate sustainability reporting? So benefits of corporate sustainability reporting, if we consider, so the benefits of corporate sustainability reporting is that it increased understanding of risk and opportunities. So basically we can bifurcate first that what all are the risks that are associated with an organization and what all are the opportunities we can opt for. So it emphasizing the link between financial and non-financial performance. So what are the financial performance, what all are the non-financial performance, that basically it emphasizes the link between both the things. Influencing long-term management strategy and policies and business plans, streamlining processes, reducing cost and improving efficiency. So it basically streamlining the processes and reducing the cost and improving efficiencies. Now benchmarking and assessing sustainability performance with respect to law, norms, codes, performance standards and voluntary initiatives. Avoiding being implicated in publicized environmental, social and governance failures. Now comparing performance both internally and between organizations as well among external sector. External benefits of sustainability reporting can include mitigating or reversing negative environment, social and governance impact. So it basically mitigating such or reversing the negative environment, social and governance impacts. It improves the reputation and brand loyalty. So we can also say this brand image. Okay, so this thing has to be improved by this corporate sustainability reporting. So it also enables the external stakeholder to understand the governance true value and tangible and intangible assets, demonstrating how organization influence and is influenced by expectations about sustainable development. What all are the key drivers of sustainability reporting? That are basically regulations, customers, loyalty, and NGO and media, employees, peer pressure from other companies themselves, and investors. So these all are the things that are associated with that are basically the key drivers of the corporate sustainability reporting. So there is another question, that is 5th D. 5th D, the question is related to, you are the company secretary of Super Chef Limited. Surely, a new appointed role and responsibility with regard to internal controls of the company. She approaches you to understand the same. Prepare a short note to brief Shirley's on internal control and her responsibilities in this regard. This question is also related to internal reporting. So we already know that the compliance, internal control and internal reporting we need to answer here. Internal reporting में the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of Tradeway Commission. Okay, so the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations and Tradeway Commission, that is COSO, defines internal control as a process affected by an entity's board of directors, management and other personnel designated to provide reasonable assurance regarding the achievement of objectives relating to operations, corporate reporting and compliances. According to COSO, an organizations need to focus on separate aspects of internal separate aspects of internal control for achievement of the following objectives. So what are the objectives they are talking about? That is effectiveness and efficiency of the entity's operations, also reliability, limitations and transparency of financial reporting, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. The CEO is ultimately responsible and should assume ownership of the system more than any other individual. The chief executive set the one that turn at a top that the affect integrity and ethics and other factors of a positive control environment in a large company. The chief executive fulfills its duty by providing leadership and directions to senior manager and reviewing the way they are controlling the business. Senior management in turn assign responsibility for establishment of more specific internal control policies and procedures to personnel responsible for units functions. In a smaller entity, the influence of chief executive, one often an owner manager, is usually more direct. In the event a cascading responsibility, a manager is effectively a chief executive of his or her sphere of responsibility. We know that कि उसके sphere में he is the chief. So, of a particular significance, a financial officer and other staff whose control activities cut across as well as up and down the operating and other unit of an enterprise. Question कितना weird तरीके से लिखा हुआ है, but they know, but they have mentioned that what are the objectives of an internal control. Now they are talking about what is the CEO rule. Basically, we have read here that the CEO is basically responsible and has to assume ownership of the system, and more than any other individual, CEO sets the tone of the top. The integrity, उसकी integrity क्या है, ethics क्या है, and other factors of a positive control environment that basically impact that. In a larger company, the CEO, chief executive, fulfill the duty by providing leadership, and senior managers in turn assign responsibility for establishment of more specific internal control policies and procedure to personnel responsible for the unit functions. In a smaller entity, the influence of chief executive, often an owner manager, is usually more direct. So we got this. Now we have to again start another 5th A topic, that is another 4 questions in this alternate questions. So we have this, that is the board of directors of Fresco Private Limited is in the process of reviewing the list of law applicables to the company. As a company secretary of Fresco Private Limited, advise the board on the component of robust internal compliance reporting from program. So what all are the components of the robust internal compliance reporting program? So this is also important question. Let's look into the answer. If we see that the internal control mechanism need to be extensive, however, it must go far beyond a written policy. It is far beyond the written policy that has to be followed. It must be designed to reflect the practices, laws and culture of the countries in which the company is operating. Any broken link in the reporting chain can interrupt the flow of information from the reporter to those who need to hear and act on it. A sound program should include the following elements. So what are the elements they are talking about? That the communication, the similar answer we have already discussed earlier, that the make the program known at all level of employees. Accessible, मतलब program available है, accessible है to around the companies at various local languages. Also cultural appropriateness, that is the adopted program to constrain imposed by local culture, history and practices. Universality means make the reporting mechanism available to third parties, example suppliers, consultant, customers, means who all are the stakeholders. We can also term here that stakeholder. Confidentiality and anonymity, that means guarantee confidentiality and permit discreet or anonymous report. Okay, so screening, providing safeguard against ferocious or malicious reports. Collect data, monitor reports, track them over time, identify vulnerabilities and take corrective actions. Remedial actions and feedback, take actions and provide feedback to the reporters and as appropriate. Management visibility, report to the audit committee, to the board of directors. Now the employee protection. What is happening here? Employees protection. Protect reporting employees both during employment and after departure from the company. So next we are discussing the question, that is the corporate reporting is essential element. Corporate reporting, we need to move our answer related to corporate reporting is essential. By means of a company communicate with investor as a part of their accountability and stewardship obligation, and we need to list out the expected information that can be required by investors. So here is the answer, that is the corporate reporting is basically essential, means by which a company communicate with investors as part of their accountability and stewardship obligation. So through corporate reporting they basically communicate. It is a part of a communication. Now the current financial reporting model was developed in 1930s for industrial world. In general, the model provides a backward looking review of performance and does not provide enough relevant information for decision making today. So the financial reporting model is like looking in the rear view mirror. So we are looking in the rear view mirror, but when in the fact the road ahead is very turbulent, and there is huge impact on the company, both societal and environmental. So they are basically talking about that the financial reporting model is like a looking in the rear view mirror, और जिसमें कि हमें रोड बहुत ज़्यादा turbulent दिखाई देती है, and huge impact it has on the company as a part of a society and also in the environment. It is not necessarily that the volume of information, but the lack of comprehensive story, which is where improvements in corporate reportings are needed. So investors expect information about business model and what are the strategy that a company needs to follow, intangible factors and sustainability, that is economic, environmental and social commitments, impact and performance that affect a company's value today and its ability to create value in the future. What all are the key aspects of corporate governance, that is also a factor in the case of the corporate reporting. What all are the internal controls and human rights and diversities, practice and policies. What all are the key financial ratios that are need to be maintained in this case. So we have another question, that is risk can arise or change due to circumstances. Yes, it could happen. Comment on the points. So we are discussing this point, that the risk is relevant to reliable financial reporting include external and internal events. Risks are basically associated with internal and external event. So now the transactions that or circumstances that may occur adversely affect the organization's entity ability to initiate, record, process and report financial data consistent with the assertion of management in the financial statements. Now management may initiate plans, programs or action to address specific risk, or it may decide to accept a risk because of cost or other considerations. Now risk can arise or change due to circumstances such as the following. So changes in operating environment. Now changes in the regulatory or operating environment can result in change in competitive pressure and significantly different risk. New personnel may have a different focus on or understanding of internal control. New or revamped information system, significant and rapid change in information system can change the risk relating to internal controls. So now the new and revamped information system, significant and rapid changes in, I think I have to discuss this topic and next question in next video as I am getting a call. Bye.